There is a peace hidden deep within the stories you thought you already knew. Not the kind of peace that comes and goes, not the fragile calm that breaks when life gets heavy, but the peace that was there before the beginning and will remain when all else fades. You've heard these stories before: the shepherd and the sheep, the sea and the storm, the father and his wandering son. But maybe you've never heard them like this, because tonight we're not just reading scripture, we're listening to it, letting each word become a doorway, each silence a space where something holy breathes. So breathe with me now, in and out. Let the rhythm of your breathing match the quiet pulse of creation. As you exhale, feel the noise of the world fade, like dust falling in soft light. In this quiet, you will begin to discover the peace that has always been written between the lines, the peace hidden in the pauses, in the waiting, in the moments where God seems silent but is closer than ever. These stories, 23 of them, are not just lessons from long ago. They are mirrors, they are whispers, they are sacred invitations. Each one holds a secret, a truth that reveals itself only when you stop striving and begin to listen with the heart. Some of them will meet you in your doubt, some in your pain, some in your longing for rest, and together they will guide you, slowly, gently, back to the peace you were always meant to know. You might not notice when it happens. Maybe somewhere between the words and the silences, you'll feel something shift, a weight lifting, a calm blooming. That's what happens when the word moves through you. That's what happens when peace finally finds its voice. Close your eyes now. Let your body grow still. Let your thoughts drift like clouds across an open sky. There's nothing you need to fix, no battle you have to fight tonight. The God who wrote these stories is already writing peace into yours. He is here, in this breath, in this moment, in this silence. As the night deepens, we begin our journey, not to learn more, but to remember what your soul already knows, that you are loved, that you are held, that peace has always been within you. It was written in Genesis, sung in Psalms, and fulfilled in the whisper of Christ himself. So tonight, let us walk through these timeless stories, 23 lanterns of light, guiding us back to the heart of peace. Through stillness and surrender, through forgiveness and healing, through presence, hope, and eternity. With every breath, you will discover a new layer, a new softness, a new silence, until the noise of the world fades completely and all that remains is Him. Listen now to the first story. It begins not with sound, but with stillness. Be still, He whispers, and know that I am God. And, with that sacred breath, we begin the first path: stillness, peace and silence. In the beginning, before words were spoken and stars were hung, there was silence, and in that silence, God was already there, breathing, waiting, listening. Silence is not emptiness, it is presence. It is the space where everything begins and where everything returns. Tonight, as you rest, that same silence invites you in. The world has done enough talking for today. Now it's time to listen. Listen not with your ears, but with your heart, to the gentle pulse beneath your ribs, to the whisper of your breath, to the quietness that has always been the language of heaven. There is a peace that can only be found there, a peace that does not depend on the world being calm, but on your soul remembering that it is safe. Let your thoughts come and let them pass. Let them drift like leaves on a slow-moving river. You are not your thoughts. You are the still water beneath them. Somewhere in that stillness, a story begins. Elijah once ran into the wilderness, his heart heavy, his hope fading. He had seen fire fall from the sky. He had spoken with authority, and yet he was afraid. He hid himself in a cave on the mountain, and there, in that loneliness, He begged for death instead of peace. "Lord," he whispered, "I've had enough." And God said, "Go out and stand on the mountain before me." Elijah obeyed, and as he stood, the earth began to shake. A great wind tore through the rocks, and the sky roared like the voice of war. But God was not in the wind. Then the ground trembled, stones split apart, the cave shuddered, but God was not in the earthquake. After the earthquake came fire bright, wild, consuming, but still, God was not there. Then, silence, a sound so soft it could barely be called a sound, a whisper, a breath, the hush of presence itself, and Elijah covered his face, for he knew God was in the stillness. How many times have you searched for God in the thunder? How often have you believed peace would come once the storm was over? But what if peace was never missing, only hidden beneath the noise? What if God has always been speaking, but the world was too loud to hear? Sometimes the miracle is not that the storm ends, but that you learn to rest in the middle of it. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine the cave where Elijah stood. The wind has stopped. The earth is still. Ash drifts down from the last flicker of fire. Everything is quiet now, and in that quiet, you realize you are not alone. The same presence that met Elijah on the mountain meets you here tonight, not in the noise of your mind, but in the softness of your soul. The psalmist wrote, "The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. He restores my soul." Still waters, what a simple image, and yet it holds the entire secret of peace. When the water is still, it reflects perfectly. When your heart is still, you begin to see God clearly again. The shepherd does not force the sheep to rest. He leads them gently. He slows their steps until their breathing matches his. Maybe that is what God is doing with you tonight, slowing you down, not because you're failing, but because he wants you to find what you've lost, your stillness, your reflection, your peace. You don't have to earn it. You don't have to prove anything. You only have to follow where he leads. Beside still waters, breathe again, in and out, as softly as water touching the shore. Feel that calm spreading through your body, from your chest to your arms, from your hands to your fingertips. Everything that was tense begins to loosen. Everything that was restless begins to quiet. This is not escape. This is returning to the place within you that has always belonged to him. The world outside keeps spinning, but you have entered sacred stillness. Here, time does not rush. Here, your failures lose their weight. Here, you are not defined by what you do, but by the love that holds you. In this stillness, you are safe to rest. There is something holy about slowing down enough to notice the flicker of candlelight, the sound of your heartbeat, the feeling of breath moving through your chest. The way peace doesn't shout, it simply waits. Maybe peace isn't something you find. Maybe it's something that finds you once you stop running. Let every part of you grow quiet. Your body, your mind, your spirit, each becoming soft and open. The stillness you feel now is the same stillness that covered creation before light began. It's the stillness between God's words, the pause that makes the promise beautiful. And if you listen closely enough, you might hear him again, not in thunder, not in command, but in that same quiet whisper, "You are mine. You are safe. You can rest." Elijah's story ends, not with fear, but with a renewed strength born from silence. He left the cave no longer running from death, but walking toward purpose, because in the stillness he had heard love. That same love is here, breathing through your room, filling the spaces between your thoughts. The peace you're feeling now is not fleeting, it's ancient. It's the echo of the same voice that called the world into being. Let the stillness deepen. Let it wrap around you like a blanket of light. There is nothing more to figure out tonight, nothing more to do. Just this moment, just this breath, just this peace. As you lie here, maybe you begin to realize something. Stillness isn't the absence of life. It's the beginning of it. Like a seed buried in the earth, everything holy begins in quiet. Dreams, healing, forgiveness, hope, they all start in the soil of stillness. And when you wake again, the world will still be noisy, but something within you will have changed. A gentleness, a steadiness, a new way of seeing, because you have touched the place where peace lives. So breathe one last time with me now. In and out. Feel your chest rise and fall like the calm tide. Feel your body sinking deeper into rest. And as the night stretches wide and kind around you, remember this truth. Peace is not far away. It's not beyond your reach. It's hidden right here in the stillness. And in that stillness, faith begins to rise. In the stillness, faith begins to rise. It rises quietly like morning light slipping through the cracks of night. Not a blaze, not a storm, but a soft and certain glow that whispers, "You can trust me." And Capiti, trust, such a simple word, and yet the hardest to live. Because to trust means to loosen your grip, to stop trying to control what was never yours to carry. To trust means to believe not that life will always be kind, but that God always will. You don't have to force it. Trust is not a decision of the mind. It's the rest of the soul that remembers who holds it. There was a man once, standing on water. The sea beneath him was dark, restless, alive. Around him, the wind howled, 1,000 unseen hands pulling him toward fear. And yet, above the chaos, a voice called out, "Come." Peter stepped from the boat. For a moment, the impossible became real. He walked not on stability, but on surrender. Every step was trust, every heartbeat a prayer. But then he saw the wind, and his trust began to tremble. He started to sink. Water closed over his ankles, fear over his heart. He cried out, "Lord, save me." And immediately, not after a lesson, not after a delay, immediately, Jesus reached out his hand. The water calmed, the storm hushed, and in that stillness, the Savior smiled, saying softly, "Why did you doubt?" Sometimes, trust looks like walking on water. Sometimes, it looks like sinking and still reaching out your hand. Because trust is not the absence of fear. It's choosing to believe in love, even as the waves rise higher. Maybe you've been there, standing at the edge of what feels safe, called into something uncertain. Maybe your heart has whispered, "What if I fall?" And maybe God has whispered back, "What if you fly?" Take a breath, in and out. Imagine that sea, the boat rocking gently, the wind cool against your face. You step forward, and the first touch of water is not cold, but alive. Every step feels impossible, and yet you keep walking because his voice still echoes in the wind. Come. This is trust, not knowing how it will work, but walking anyway. And when you stumble, when your courage fades, his hand is already there, pulling you back to peace. Trust doesn't always look miraculous. Sometimes it looks like waiting, like Abraham, standing under a sky of 1,000 stars, still childless, still believing the promise. God told him, "Look at the heavens and count the stars if you can. So shall your offspring be." And Abraham believed. He didn't understand how. He just believed that God could. Years passed. The stars didn't answer. The nights grew long. But faith, true faith, is patient, because trust doesn't mean seeing the outcome. It means resting in the one who does. Maybe that's what surrender really is. Not giving up, but giving over. The world says, "Hold tighter." God says, let go. And when you finally do, when your fists unclench, when your plans crumble, when all you have left is his name, you discover something sacred, that his hands were under you all along. Think of Israel wandering the desert for 40 years, the heat relentless, the path uncertain. Each morning they woke to a miracle, manna scattered like dew on the ground. It wasn't enough for tomorrow, only enough for today. That was the lesson, to trust daily, to rely not on abundance, but on presence. And maybe that's your lesson too. You don't need to know what's next. You just need enough peace for this breath, and the next one, and the next. In the desert of waiting, God was not cruel. He was teaching them rhythm, the rhythm of trust. Morning by morning, he provided. Night by night, he covered them with fire and cloud. They were never without him. Neither are you. Trust can be quiet like that, a steady flame in the dark. It doesn't shout. It doesn't prove. It simply stays. When everything else feels uncertain, trust says, I may not see the way, but I know the one who does. That's why peace grows in surrender. Because the more you release, the more room there is for God to fill. So, if you're holding something tonight, a fear, a wound, a plan that didn't unfold, imagine setting it down now, not throwing it away, just placing it gently into his hands. Feel the relief of release, the lightness that comes when you no longer have to carry everything yourself. You don't need to fix it. You just need to trust that he can. Maybe the hardest part of faith is not believing in miracles, but believing that you're still loved when none of them come. And yet, that's where real peace lives, in the quiet confidence that even if the storm stays, so does he. Peter sank, Abraham waited, Israel wandered, and in all of it, God remained. The same is true for you. He doesn't promise that every wave will stop, but he promises his hand will never let go. Let your body relax. Let your breathing slow. Whisper softly to your own soul, I don't need to understand. I only need to trust. Say it again, like a lullaby, like a prayer that knows its way home. I don't need to understand. I only need to trust. There's a peace that comes when you finally stop fighting for control. It's not weakness, it's worship, because every time you choose to trust, you are saying to God, I believe you are who you say you are, and that belief builds a bridge over fear. You don't need to see the end of it to cross. You just take one step, and another, and somewhere along the way, you realize you are walking on water again. Breathe. The night is still. The storms of the day are gone. You can almost hear that same whisper Elijah heard, that same voice Peter followed, that same promise Abraham trusted. I am with you. I will never leave you. Rest in me. And slowly, the tightness in your chest loosens. Your heartbeat steadies. Your mind quiets. This is surrender, not defeat, but peace. Because peace is what happens when you trust the one who holds tomorrow. As you drift deeper into rest, remember this: you were never meant to hold it all. You were meant to be held. Let his presence be your pillow tonight, his promises your blanket, his love your steady rhythm of breathing. Everything you can't control is safe in his hands. You can rest now. You can let go. The sea is calm again. The boat rocks softly. Above you, the stars shimmer. The same stars Abraham once counted, each one a reminder. God keeps his promises. Maybe that's all trust really is, remembering the stars when it's still dark. In this peace, in this surrender, you are free. Free from fear, free from control, free to breathe again. And as sleep begins to take you, you might hear the faintest whisper, a promise older than time itself. You are safe in my hands, always. And from that peace, a new kind of strength begins to rise, because in surrender, faith becomes alive. Trust had taught your heart to loosen its hold, And in that release, something beautiful begins, a quiet invitation that says, it's time to forgive. Forgiveness, even the word feels heavy, doesn't it? It carries the weight of old wounds, of words we wish we could take back, of memories that still ache when touched. But forgiveness was never meant to be a burden. It was meant to be a doorway that leads from pain to peace, from guilt to grace, from the prison of the past to the freedom of God's presence. And tonight, as you rest, that doorway stands open. There was once a son, restless, certain he knew what he wanted. He asked his father for his inheritance early, as if to say, I want your things, but not your presence. And the father, with heartbreak hidden behind his eyes, let him go. The son ran far, to cities that never slept, to pleasures that promised more than they could give. He spent everything, his money, his time, his hope, until nothing was left but hunger and shame. He found work, feeding pigs, and even their food began to look good to him. That's when it hit him, the quiet truth that breaks through pride. Even the servants in my father's house live better than this. So he turned homeward, each step heavy with regret, each breath thick with fear. Would his father still love him? Would there even be a place for him anymore? But before he could reach the gate, his father saw him from far away and ran. The father didn't wait for an apology. He didn't stand with folded arms, demanding explanation. He ran. He embraced his lost son and called for celebration. Bring the robe. Bring the ring. My son was dead and now he lives. Maybe you've been the son. Maybe you've run. Maybe you've looked at the ruins of your own choices and wondered if God still wants you. He does. He always has. Forgiveness is not something you earn. It's something you come home to. But forgiveness isn't only about being forgiven. It's also about forgiving others. And that can be harder. Because to forgive means to lay down your right to revenge, your right to be right, and trust that justice belongs to someone wiser. It means choosing peace over the comfort of bitterness. It means remembering that you, too, were once shown mercy, and mercy is not meant to be kept. Close your eyes for a moment. Think of the faces that still live somewhere in your heart. Those who hurt you, those you hurt, those you still can't speak of without pain. Don't force forgiveness. Just hold them in the light. Imagine God's presence surrounding you and them, soft and steady, like sunlight through morning mist. He isn't asking you to forget. He's asking you to let go. Let go of the poison that has kept you bound. Let go of the anger that has taken too much space. Let go of the story that says you must stay broken. You don't forgive because they deserve it. You forgive because you deserve peace. There was another story. A woman, dragged through the dust, surrounded by stones and judgment. She had been caught in her sin. They said she was unworthy of mercy, but Jesus bent down and wrote in the dirt. The crowd grew restless. What do you say, teacher? They asked. He looked up and said, Let the one without sin cast the first stone. And one by one, the stones fell to the ground, until only she remained, and him. He looked at her, not with condemnation, but with compassion. Where are they? He asked. Has no one condemned you? No one, Lord. Then neither do I. Go and sin no more. Forgiveness didn't ignore her sin. It transformed her shame, because when God forgives, He doesn't erase what happened. He redeems it. Maybe you've been the woman, surrounded by judgment, even your own. Maybe you've carried the weight of your mistakes so long you forgot what it feels like to breathe freely. If so, listen. He isn't holding a stone. He's holding out His hand. He's not saying, you are guilty. He's saying, you are loved, and love has always been stronger than shame. Forgiveness is not forgetting the wound. It's remembering the grace that met you there. Think of the cross, wood, nails, pain, and yet the greatest act of love ever given. When Jesus hung there, he looked at those who mocked him, those who hurt him, those who didn't understand, and said, "Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do." Even as he bled, he blessed. Even as he was broken, he loved. That's the kind of forgiveness that changes the world. And it begins by changing one heart at a time. Take another breath, in and out. Forgiveness isn't a feeling. It's a choice you make again and again to release what no longer needs to be held. Every time you choose it, you make space for healing. You make space for peace. You can forgive because you were first forgiven. You can show mercy because mercy has been shown to you. Sometimes, forgiveness feels like death, but on the other side, there's resurrection. It's the letting go that leads to freedom. It's the softening that leads to strength. And when you finally open your hands, you realize they were never empty. They were simply being prepared to hold grace. Imagine now the Father's arms still around you, the dust of the road still on your feet. Hear his voice. Welcome home. Feel the weight that used to press against your chest. Lifted, gone, replaced by something warm, something light, something alive. This is what grace feels like. Not earned, not deserved, but given, freely, fully, forever. Stay in this moment. Let your breathing slow again. Let his peace move through you, through the cracks and the scars, through the memories and the mistakes. Every place that once hurt is now a place where light can enter. Every story that once broke you is now becoming a song of mercy. You are not defined by what you've done, but by the one who forgave you. And as forgiveness settles into your spirit, you might feel something shift. The same stillness from before, but deeper now, wider. This is the peace of grace. It doesn't demand. It doesn't rush. It simply says, "You are free." Before this night ends, whisper it quietly, not to earn it, but to believe it. I am forgiven. Say it again. I am forgiven. Let the words move through you like breath through the soul. You are forgiven for what you did, for what you failed to do, for what you still don't understand. You are forgiven, and therefore you can forgive. Now, picture yourself standing in a field at sunrise. The sky is soft gold, the air cool and clean. You take a deep breath, and the light touches your face. That's what forgiveness feels like. The night ending, the morning beginning, the peace of grace. And somewhere inside you, you begin to smile, not because everything is fixed, but because your heart is lighter. You have finally let go, and as that peace settles deeper, you feel the gentle pull toward the next path, the place where forgiveness blooms into something more. Because where grace is given, healing begins. Where forgiveness ends, healing begins. Grace softens what was hardened, and in that softness, God begins his quiet work, mending what you thought would never be whole again. Healing doesn't come as lightning. It comes as light, slow, patient, faithful. It arrives in pieces, through tears, through rest, through the small, sacred moments when you finally stop fighting the pain and begin to let God touch it. Tonight, he is near, near to the wounds you hide, near to the stories you never tell, near to the memories that still whisper shame. He is not afraid of your broken places. He is drawn to them because they are where his glory can enter. There was a man, blind from birth. He had never seen the sun, never watched color move across the sky, never looked into another's eyes. The disciples saw him and asked, "Who sinned, this man or his parents, that he was born blind?" But Jesus said, "Neither. This happened so that the works of God might be displayed in him." Then he spat on the ground, made mud with his hands, and placed it on the man's eyes. "Go," he said, "wash in the pool of Siloam." And when the man obeyed, when the water touched his face, the darkness broke. He saw for the first time. Healing is rarely what we expect. It's rarely clean or instant or easy. Sometimes it looks like mud and tears and faith that doesn't make sense. But every act of trust, every moment you let him touch the wound, is a step towards sight. God does not heal to erase the pain. He heals to reveal his presence inside it. Maybe your blindness isn't physical. Maybe it's the kind that keeps you from seeing yourself as he sees you. Maybe it's the heaviness that makes every breath feel like effort, or the ache of a heart that's still waiting for closure that never came. You don't have to pretend it doesn't hurt. Healing begins with honesty. Lord, you can whisper, "I am tired of pretending I'm fine." And he will answer, "I know, let me hold what you can't." Another man once lay paralyzed on a mat. He had friends, 4 of them, who believed Jesus could heal him. The crowd was too thick, the doors blocked, so they climbed to the roof, tore it open, and lowered him down. Imagine the dust falling, the gasp of the crowd, the stillness that followed. Jesus looked up, saw their faith, and said, "Son, your sins are forgiven." Before the man could move, grace had already moved first. Then Jesus said, "Rise, take your mat, and walk." And he did. Healing begins with the faith of being carried. Sometimes your own faith feels too small, too tired, and that's okay, because love will find a way through the roof to reach you. You don't have to climb to him. He comes down to you. Maybe tonight, you are the one still lying on the mat, the one who wants to rise but can't yet. Then rest. Let his presence lift you gently. There is no rush in grace. Each breath, each tear, each whispered prayer is part of the healing. You don't need to stand to be restored. You only need to be still long enough to be loved. There was also a woman sick for 12 years. She had spent everything trying to be well, and nothing had worked. But one day, she heard that Jesus was passing by. The crowd pressed around him, voices everywhere, hands reaching, feet trampling. But she pushed through, weak, trembling, and touched the hem of his robe. And in that instant, she felt it. The bleeding stopped. Jesus turned and asked, "Who touched me?" The disciples laughed. "There are so many, Lord." But he knew power had gone out from him. Healing had found its home. She came forward, afraid, and confessed everything, the sickness, the shame, the years of silence. And Jesus said, "Daughter, your faith has made you well. Go in peace and be healed." Not just healed in body, but restored in dignity, restored in belonging. Healing, you see, is not just the fixing of what's broken. It's the remembering of who you are. It's God whispering, "You were never beyond my reach." And maybe that's what he's whispering to you now. Take a breath. Let it move through you like light through glass. Let it reach every place you've kept locked away, every scar, every memory, every quiet ache. You are not what happened to you. You are what God is doing in you. You are not defined by your pain. You are defined by his promise. There's a strange kind of beauty in scars. They don't erase the wound. They tell the story of survival. Jesus still carried his scars after resurrection. They weren't gone. They were redeemed. He showed them to Thomas not as proof of pain, but as proof of love. "Touch them," he said. "See and believe." Even glorified, he kept the marks, because healing doesn't mean forgetting. It means transforming. So don't hide your scars tonight. They are not signs of failure. They are invitations. Through them, others will find hope. Through them, light will shine. Every healed wound becomes a window. And through each one, someone will see him. Let yourself rest now in the presence of the healer. Let his peace settle over you like soft rain. It doesn't demand, it simply covers. The same hands that touched the blind man's eyes, the same voice that called the paralyzed man to rise, the same presence that turned pain to peace. They are here, with you, now, not far away, not in memory, but here in this quiet room where the light of grace still glows. Sometimes the greatest healing is simply believing you are worth it, that you matter, that your brokenness is not the end of your story. Every heartbeat you feel is proof that He's still writing, and He only writes in love. Let that truth sink into you. Let it rest beneath your ribs. Let it become the rhythm of your breathing. You are not beyond repair. You are being restored, moment by moment, word by word, breath by breath. As you breathe now, picture His light moving through you, warm, golden, gentle. It travels through every dark corner, not to expose, but to renew. It whispers, "This, too, I can make new." Your sorrow, your fear, your past, all of it, becoming sacred in His hands. If tears come, let them. They are not weakness. They are cleansing. They are how the soul exhales. Each one is seen. Each one is gathered. The psalm says, He collects your tears in His bottle. Every drop remembered, every ache counted. That is how loved you are. And as you rest in that truth, your body begins to feel lighter. Your heart beats slower. Your thoughts quiet, as if creation itself is holding its breath with you. This is peace. Not the kind you find when life is perfect, but the kind you find when you know you are held. The night is long, but love is longer. You are healing, even now, even here. And as this path draws to a close, you begin to feel something stirring, something whole, something steady, something new. You have forgiven, you have been forgiven, and now you are being restored. This is what peace and restoration feels like. Not loud, not sudden, but real. The kind of peace that doesn't fade when morning comes, because it was born from grace, rooted in surrender, and carried by love. Breathe again. In and out. Whisper softly to yourself, He is making me new. Let those words wrap around your heart. Let them stay there as you sleep, because every breath you take tonight is part of the healing. Every moment you rest is a prayer being answered. And as the last whisper of night moves through your room, you hear the gentle echo of His promise. Behold, I make all things new. And from that promise, a quiet warmth begins to grow, a peace that is no longer borrowed, but your own. And in that peace, you begin to sense something deeper, waiting, the next path, where healed hearts learn to recognize His presence. Healing opens the eyes, and when the eyes of your soul begin to see again, you realize something wondrous. He was never far. God's presence is not something you find one day. It's something that's been with you all along. Every breath, every silence, every unseen moment of mercy. He was there. Sometimes we think of God as distant, high above, unreachable, but the truth is gentler, simpler, closer. He is the air in your lungs, the heartbeat you don't control, the warmth that lingers when you pray. He is the quiet whisper in your thoughts saying, I am here. And when you finally slow down enough, when you've cried, surrendered, and healed enough, you can feel Him again, not as an idea, but as presence. Two men once walked a dusty road from Jerusalem to Emmaus. Their hearts were heavy. They had seen hope die on a cross. They had buried their dreams in a tomb. As they walked, a stranger joined them. He asked, What are you talking about? They told him the story of Jesus, the prophet who had done miracles, the one they thought would redeem Israel, the one who was now gone. The stranger listened. Then he began to speak, and as he spoke, Scripture came alive again. Prophecy, promise, love, all woven together into meaning. When they reached their village, they urged him "Stay with us, for evening is near." He agreed. They sat down to eat, and when he took the bread, blessed it, and broke it, their eyes were opened. It was him, the same Jesus they thought was gone. And then he vanished from their sight. They looked at each other, their hearts burning with recognition. Did not our hearts burn within us as he spoke to us on the road? That's what presence feels like, a warmth that words can't explain. You don't always see him, but when you listen, when your heart burns quietly, you know he walks with you, too, on your roads of confusion, on your paths of disappointment, in the long silences between prayers. You are never walking alone. Presence is not always a miracle. Sometimes it's an ordinary moment, a sunrise after a sleepless night, a friend's unexpected kindness, a verse that speaks to you at the perfect time. Sometimes it's the peace that arrives for no reason at all. That's how you know it's him. He doesn't always announce himself. He simply is. There was another moment. Two sisters, Mary and Martha. Martha was busy, hands full, mind racing. She wanted everything to be perfect for Jesus. Mary sat at his feet, listening, doing nothing but being near. Martha grew frustrated. "Lord, don't you care that she has left me to do all the work?" And Jesus smiled, softly, lovingly. "Martha, Martha, you are anxious about many things, but only one thing is needed. Mary has chosen the better part, and it will not be taken from her." Presence is the better part, not performance, not perfection, just being with him. Maybe that's what you're learning now, that peace doesn't come from fixing life, but from resting in the one who holds it. You don't need to earn closeness, you only need to notice it. He's been sitting beside you this whole time, waiting for you to stop doing and start being. Take a breath. Feel it, the rise and fall of your chest. Every inhale, a reminder. He is here. Every exhale, a release. You are safe. You don't need words. Silence is prayer enough. If you listen closely, you might feel his nearness like a quiet warmth behind your ribs, like sunlight resting on your skin. He is not far. He never was. There is a story he once told about a shepherd who had 100 sheep. When one wandered away, he left the 99 to find the one. And when he found it, he didn't scold it. He lifted it onto his shoulders and carried it home, rejoicing. That's the sound of presence. Footsteps on the hills, searching, calling your name. You were never lost to him. Even when you drifted, he knew the way back. And when he found you, he didn't ask where you'd been. He just held you and whispered, "You're home." That's what his nearness feels like. Not distance bridged, but belonging remembered. Even in silence, even in sleep, he is near. There is no moment when his love steps away. You may forget him, but he never forgets you. Close your eyes now. Let your body grow soft, your breathing slow and even. You don't need to reach for God tonight. He's already reached for you. Let his presence find you where you are, not where you think you should be. If your heart is heavy, he's in the heaviness. If your spirit feels light, he's in the joy. There is nowhere he cannot be. Maybe peace was never about escaping life's noise, but learning to recognize his voice within it. The sound of wind in the trees, the rhythm of your heartbeat, the quiet strength in your waiting. Every sound becomes sacred when you know who it belongs to. When you wake tomorrow, nothing may have changed around you, but something will have changed within you. You'll walk through your day with gentler eyes. You'll breathe slower, speak kinder, and notice the divine woven into the ordinary. That is presence. That is peace. As night deepens, you might imagine him beside you, not as a vision, but as a feeling. A hand resting lightly over yours, a whisper saying, "I am with you always." You can rest in that truth. You can sleep knowing you are never unseen, never alone, never forgotten. Take one last deep breath. Let your shoulders drop. Let your spirit sigh. In this still room, in this gentle dark, you are surrounded by grace, by peace, by Him. If you could see what heaven sees right now, you would know light is all around you. You are held in hands that do not tire, watched by eyes that never close, loved by a heart that never turns away. This is His nearness. This is His peace. And as you drift deeper, feel that warmth spread through your heart, through your breath, through your dreams, because even there, in the quiet world of sleep, He will be with you, always. And when you wake again, you will carry His presence with you, in your eyes, in your words, in your quiet confidence that peace is never lost, only remembered. Surely I am with you always, He said, even to the end of the age. And with that promise resting in your soul, the night closes gently around you, not with darkness, but with light. And from that light, hope begins to grow, because where His presence abides, hope is born anew. Where His presence abides, hope is born anew. Hope, that quiet, stubborn light that refuses to go out, even when the night feels endless. It doesn't roar. It doesn't demand. It flickers softly, like a candle in the wind, fragile and yet unstoppable. Hope is the promise that whispers, "This isn't the end." And tonight, that promise is for you. There was once a tomb, sealed, guarded, final. The air was heavy with silence, the kind of silence that follows heartbreak. For 3 days, it seemed as though hope itself had died. But on the third morning, as the sun broke over the horizon, the stone was rolled away. The tomb was empty, the grave clothes folded, and an angel stood where death once ruled, saying words that would change everything. Why do you look for the living among the dead? He is not here, He has risen. That moment, the first light of resurrection, is where all hope begins, not because suffering ended, but because love proved stronger than sorrow. Hope is not the denial of pain. It is the defiance of it. It says, I have seen darkness, and yet I still believe in dawn. Maybe tonight you carry the weight of unanswered prayers. Maybe you've lost someone or something, and the ache refuses to leave. Hope doesn't ask you to forget. It simply asks you to trust that there is more than the pain, more than the loss, more than this moment. The cross was never the end of the story, and neither is your sorrow. Joseph once stood betrayed by his brothers, by fate, by all the dreams that had once felt certain. He was sold into slavery, forgotten in prison, left to wonder if God had left him too. But even there, God was working, in the pit, in the chains, in the waiting. Years later, when famine struck, and those same brothers came begging for food, Joseph looked at them, and instead of bitterness, he wept. You meant evil against me, he said, but God meant it for good. That is the mystery of hope, the alchemy of heaven. It takes what was meant to destroy you and turns it into the soil where faith grows. Nothing is wasted, not the waiting, not the wounds, not the tears. God weaves them all into something beautiful, even when you can't yet see the pattern. Hope doesn't erase sorrow. It redeems it, like dawn redeeming night, like rain redeeming drought. Even the ache can become holy when it leads you back to the one who never left. There is a valley in Scripture, a valley filled with dry bones. Ezekiel stood there, surrounded by silence and death, and God asked him, "Can these bones live?" Ezekiel didn't know. He only said, "Lord, you know." Then God said, "Prophesy to the bones." And as Ezekiel spoke, there was a sound, a rattling, a stirring. Bones came together, flesh grew, breath entered, and an army stood where once there was only dust. That's what hope does. It breathes life into what you've already buried. Even the places you thought were beyond redemption, God can raise them again, because his story never ends in graves. It always ends in gardens. Maybe you feel like one of those bones, dry, forgotten, lifeless, but hope is already moving toward you. The same spirit that raised Christ from the dead lives in you. That means resurrection is not just a moment in history. It's a miracle happening inside your soul right now. Hope is often quiet. It grows in the soil of heartbreak, watered by tears, warmed by faith. You don't have to force it. You just have to keep your heart open, long enough for morning to arrive. Take a breath, in and out. You've survived nights that felt unending. You've walked through storms you thought would break you. And yet, here you are, still breathing, still believing, still being held. That is hope. It's not loud. It's not perfect, but it's alive. When you wake tomorrow, you may not have all the answers. The pain may not be gone, but somewhere beneath the ache, you will feel it, that quiet pulse of peace that says, there is more to this story, more to this life, more of him. The same God who turned Joseph's betrayal into blessing, who turned Ezekiel's valley into an army, who turned a tomb into a doorway of light. He can turn this, too. Whatever this is for you, close your eyes now. Feel that truth settle deep into your bones. What was meant for harm will not have the final word, because the author of your story is still writing, and his stories always end in life. Hope is not naive. It is fierce. It stands in the dark and declares, even here, God is good. It is the echo of every promise ever made, the heartbeat of every prayer ever whispered, and tonight it is rising in you. Let the light of it spread from your chest to your breath to your dreams. Let it fill every space that once held despair. This is not false comfort. It's the truth of eternity, breaking through time. As you rest now, you are resting in a promise that cannot break. You are resting in a love that has already overcome the world. And when you breathe, you are breathing the same air that carried resurrection morning. So sleep not in denial of the pain, but in trust of the purpose. The God who turned the cross into salvation is turning your sorrow into strength. Even what feels lost is never beyond his reach. If you listen closely, you might hear it, a soft rustle, like wings unfolding, like the first breath of dawn. It's the sound of life returning, the sound of your soul remembering joy, the sound of hope. And as night fades, you begin to sense what's coming, something brighter, something eternal, because hope never stops at this world. It always points to the next. The peace beyond sorrow leads to the peace that never ends. And somewhere deep within, your spirit knows it's true. Breathe one last time, in and out. Whisper to your heart, I am not done. God is not done. There is still more light ahead. And let that promise carry you into rest, into peace, into the next and final path, the peace that never ends. Hope has led you here, to the edge of light, and as the night gives way to dawn, you begin to feel it, a peace that has no end. This is not the peace of quiet moments, nor the peace of brief relief. It is the peace that is, the peace that always was, the peace that will always be. It is eternity. Eternity is not a faraway place. It's the presence of God, where time finally surrenders. It's every moment when love feels endless, every breath that tastes like forever. You were made for this peace, not just to visit it, but to live in it. And tonight, as the journey draws near its close, you are coming home. Once, in the quiet of a Bethlehem night, he came to us, the eternal entering time, the infinite becoming small. A child wrapped in cloth, a cry that broke the silence of centuries. The sky lit up with angels singing, peace on earth, goodwill toward men. That peace has never faded. It still sings in the hearts that listen. The world changes, kingdoms fall, time rushes forward, but that song, that light, that presence remains. The story of eternity begins with that moment, a God who stepped into our chaos to bring heaven near. He didn't wait for us to reach up. He came down, and in doing so, he made every heartbeat holy. Imagine that night again. The stars are countless, the air is cold, and somewhere in a manger lies the one who holds the universe. The shepherds are trembling, the angels rejoicing, and creation itself exhales, for God has come close. That closeness has never left. Even now, he is as near as your next breath. The light that began in Bethlehem did not stop at the cross. It passed through death, through the tomb, and came out shining stronger than ever. It is the same light that will one day rise again, when all things are made new, and that day, that eternal morning, is already written in your soul. The book of Revelation speaks of it, a city with no night, where God himself is the light. No tears, no pain, no parting, every longing fulfilled, every wound restored, every sorrow undone. The old has passed away, the new has come. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine that place. No shadows, no fear, only the steady glow of love everywhere you look. And there, in the midst of it all, a river, clear as crystal, flowing from the throne of God. Its sound is like music. Its light dances through eternity. You step closer and realize this is not just the end of a story. It is the beginning of forever. Eternity doesn't start when you die. It starts when you awaken to his love, when you forgive, when you trust, when you are still. Every act of grace, every breath of peace, every heartbeat that whispers, God is here. That's eternity breaking through the now. You have walked through silence and trust, through forgiveness and healing, through presence and hope. Each path a doorway, each story a step closer to the heart of peace that never fades. And now you stand at that heart. The air feels different here, lighter, sacred, timeless. You realize there is nothing left to reach for because you are already home. Take a breath. Listen. All creation is breathing with you. The wind, the sea, the stars, all moving to the rhythm of his eternal life. Everything that ever was, everything that ever will be, is gathered here in this holy stillness. Sometimes we think eternity will be endless days, but eternity is not measured in time. It is measured in presence. It's the moment you finally know you have never been alone. It's the peace that stays, even when the world disappears. The same Jesus who walked the earth, who spoke to storms, who healed the broken, who died and rose again, he is the same today, tomorrow, forever. He is eternity wrapped in love, and you, his beloved, are wrapped in him. There is no end to this story, no final chapter, no closing line, only an endless unfolding of grace, a song that never finishes, a sunrise that never fades, and you are part of it, a note in the melody, a light in the vast sky of his peace. If you've ever wondered what heaven feels like, this is it. Not the absence of pain, but the perfection of love. Every joy you've ever felt is a glimpse of it. Every moment of true peace is a doorway to it. Eternity is not distant. It's here, now, always. Breathe again. Let your soul rest in this truth. The God who began your story will finish it in beauty. The love that found you in the dark will keep you in the light. Nothing is lost. Nothing is wasted. You are being carried into forever. Let go of time now. Let go of worry. Let go of the need to understand. Eternity doesn't ask you to know. It asks you to trust. The same peace that called creation into being is calling your soul to rest. Imagine now the horizon, endless, golden, glowing. You step into it, and instead of disappearing, you expand, free, weightless, alive. You are part of the light. You are part of Him. There's a line written in heaven's story. God Himself will wipe away every tear. Not angels, not time. God Himself. He will look into your eyes and say, "It's over now. All that hurt is gone. You are home." That moment will not be a dream. It will be the truest thing that ever was. No more goodbyes. No more longing. Only love, perfect and complete. And yet, even before that day comes, that same love is already with you. In your room, in your breath, in this silence. You are living in eternity right now. You just didn't know its name. The stars above you tonight are ancient witnesses of His promise. They've watched generations rise and fall, and they still shine. Faithful, constant, eternal. If you listen closely, their light speaks the same truth. What begins in God will never end. So rest now, not in the world, but in the one who made it. Your story is safe. Your soul is known. Your peace is forever. The night no longer feels dark. It feels infinite, like heaven quietly touching earth. You can let go completely now. There is nothing left to hold. Only love, only light, only God. And as you sink into that love, it whispers, "You are home. You are loved. You are mine forever." And so you rest, not in sleep alone, but in eternity itself, wrapped in the peace that never ends. The journey has not finished. It has only begun. For this is the truth beyond all truths. Peace is not a place you reach. Peace is the one who holds you, and He holds you still. The journey is complete now. The stories have spoken. The night has listened. You have walked through silence and surrender, through forgiveness and healing, through presence and hope, until the eternal light found you again. And now there is nothing left to seek, only rest. The kind of rest that feels like being held, like sinking into an ocean of grace, like returning to a home you never really left. Close your eyes, breathe softly. The air feels different now, lighter, still, eternal. Every sound around you has faded into a sacred quiet. The world is sleeping and heaven is near. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to be anyone. You already belong. You have always belonged. There is a peace that doesn't ask questions, a peace that doesn't leave when morning comes. It's here, resting over you like gentle light. It moves through your thoughts, your breath, your heartbeat. Every pulse says, "You are loved." Every breath says, "You are safe." Every silence says, "You are mine." Remember how it all began. In stillness. That same stillness is here now, but deeper, wider, endless. The voice that called Elijah in the whisper, the hand that lifted Peter from the waves, the heart that ran to the prodigal son. It's all the same voice, the same hand, the same heart, holding you now. You are surrounded by the stories of peace, and you are part of them. Forgiveness still flows through you. Healing still shines within you. Presence still breathes beside you. Hope still glows beyond you, and eternity still sings around you. This is the sound of heaven, quiet, steady, pure. You can feel it now, in your chest, in your bones, in the rhythm of your rest. Nothing can separate you from this love. Not time, not fear, not even yourself, because you are not outside of peace. You are inside it, and it moves through you like light through stained glass, turning every color of your life into beauty. Let your body rest. Let your mind drift. Let your soul be still. The one who keeps the stars in place is watching over you. He does not sleep. He does not leave. He simply stays, forever patient, forever kind, forever yours. If tomorrow feels uncertain, remember this. You don't have to carry it. You only have to wake up. and breathe in his grace again. The same God who guided you through this night will guide you through the next day, and the next, and every one after that. You don't walk alone. You never did. Even now, as your thoughts slow to a whisper, he whispers back, "Rest, child. The world is safe in my hands, and so are you." Feel that, the warmth behind your eyes, the stillness beneath your skin, the softness of grace wrapping you whole. This is not goodbye. This is peace. Peace that has no edges, no ending, no distance from love. So sleep in the shelter of his promise. Dream beneath the wings of his presence. Breathe in rhythm with his mercy, and let the light that began in him continue in you. You are part of that eternal glow now, a small flame in the great heart of God. When morning comes and sunlight touches your face, you will remember peace did not leave. It only changed form. It followed you from the stories into your waking life. It lives in your words, your gentleness, your quiet strength. Because when you've rested in his peace, you begin to carry it wherever you go. And so, as this night closes and heaven watches in silence, you are held completely, tenderly, eternally. Let go now. Fall softly into the arms of love. There is no fear here, no worry, no need, only this. Peace I leave with you, my peace I give to you, not as the world gives, but as I do. Sleep now, in light, in grace, in God, for the same voice that once said, "Let there be light," now whispers in your soul, "Let there be peace." And it is so, forever. Rest in his eternal peace.